Jeffrey Epstein, he forced a minor to have sexual relations with a Harvard law professor. His name? Alan Dershowitz. Disgusting. So, as I told you yesterday, there were going to be a lot of unsealed court documents coming out this week, and I'm going to unpack a couple of names that have come up uh, out of these court documents. And one of them is Alan Dershowitz. I do want to talk about this Harvard law professor. So, Jane Doe number 3 is identified here in the court documents, and she's a minor. And she was interviewed and she talked about how she was forced to have sexual relations with people on behalf of Jeffrey Epstein. So he would make the order. He'd say, hey, you have to have sex with this person, this person, this person. And she's a minor girl. Quote from the court documents: Epstein forced then minor Jane Doe 3 to have sexual relations with the former Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz. He's a close friend of Jeffrey Epstein's and a well-known criminal defense attorney. Who else is named in these documents? I told you I'm not going to I'm not going to jump the gun on this. I want to be very thorough, and I want to read through these documents. There's been a couple of names that for sure should raise eyebrows, and I'm going to let you know about. We're still combing through these documents, and I can't believe this. This is crazy. Who else? Well, the Pritzker family sexual deviancy. Okay, Governor J.B. Pritzker. We know that he is a sexual deviant. I mean, I'm just going to say that anybody who passes a law where you penalize and fine and you withhold funding from public libraries who say, I don't want to provide child pornography. I don't want to provide pornography to children through public libraries. I don't want to do that. So we're going to take off, gender queer or all boys aren't blue or something like that. All of these pornographic books, you understand. I've seen them in the children's section at the Bloomington Public Library. Okay. So that's just factual. They put it at eyesight for a small toddler to see in the children's section. It's disturbing. And it's happening across the state. And Governor J.B. Pritzker, what he did, he just passed a law that makes it where you are penalized as a public library if you decide, hey, I'm going to take these books off of the shelf and I'm not going to make this available to children. He's a sexual deviant. Anybody who signs a law like that is disturbed. And the Pritzker family, they're all sexual deviants because Jennifer Pritzker, he is transgender, and he is at the top when it comes to this transgender complex, this transgender industry. He's at the very top. Jennifer Pritzker, Jennifer James Pritzker. So the Pritzker family, their sexual deviancy issues have been running rampant for some time, haven't they? You and I both understand how deep this goes with the Pritzker family, especially when it comes to the transgender issue and how much money they're making off chopping off the genitals of young children. And now this billionaire, Hyatt Hotels executive chairman, Thomas Pritzker. So Tom Pritzker, he's been identified in the Epstein documents. Allegedly, he's been involved in sexual activities with an Epstein victim. So here's what the court documents say. They say, how many times have you had sex? This is interviewing one of the does, Jane Doe. And they say, how many times have you had sex with Tom Pritzker? And she says, I believe I was with Tom just once. Thomas is the heir to the Pritzker family. And this Pritzker family includes 11 billionaires. These people are sickos. Notable members include Governor of Illinois, the governor of Illinois, his family. You've got his, I think it's a cousin. I've got to double check that. But you've got the Pritzker family involved in this kind of sexual deviancy. And we keep electing this guy? What's wrong with you? If you're electing Governor J.B. Pritzker, what's wrong with you? If you elected Bill Clinton, what's wrong with you? We put that guy in the presidency. And Bill Clinton, His name is mentioned, what, over 50 times? Other people in the Pritzker family, we've got the Harvard board chair, that's Penny Pritzker. So, another alarming thing about the unsealed Jeffrey Epstein documents is that there's a section that describes how Jeffrey Epstein allegedly forced an underage girl to have sex with Prince Andrew whenever he wanted. So here it is, the court documents. I'm just going to read straight from them. Jane Doe number 3 was forced to have sexual relations with the prince when she was a minor, uh, in 3 separate geographical locations. Once in London, this was at Ghislaine Maxwell's apartment in New York, and on Epstein's private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands, in an orgy with numerous other underage girls. Okay, this time where she was forced to have sex with Andrew, Prince Andrew, the royal family, the British royal family. Uh, she was forced to have an orgy with him at the Virgin Islands. On 2 other occasions, she was alone with them, but Epstein instructed Jane Doe number 3 that she was to give Prince Andrew whatever he demanded and required of Jane Doe number 3. Uh, this is disturbing. This is disturbing, and Epstein sexually trafficked Jane Doe number 3 uh, multiple times to multiple people. This is terrible, and I'm glad that we're here talking about it, and that these documents were actually released. I was actually shocked to see these documents actually be unsealed and us get a couple of names. There's all kinds of names. I think there's over 200 high profile people uh, describing who took part in this, and it's disturbing. It's very disturbing. So we're going to talk more about it here on the Morning Buzz, hopefully in the 8 o'clock hour. But in the 6 o'clock hour, I've got so much planned. Find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Like my page, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's Cat Peterson 929. This is the Morning Buzz. I do want to talk about this video, Vivek Ramaswamy. You're going to want to go find this video, download it, and inject it into your veins, because Vivek Ramaswamy took down this journalismer, and it was a beautiful smackdown. And this journalismer, I mean, they do this all of the time. And if you want to take a guess, go ahead, throw it in the comment section, or text me 309-451-9299. Take a guess. What publication did this journalismer come from? Of course, this journalismer, she tries to get Vivek Ramaswamy to answer questions about white supremacy. Okay. Uh, Vivek Ramaswamy is also brown. So I don't understand where this question, or how she could even ask this question seriously. But we'll get to it, because Vivek just takes her down. But guess the publication. Is it CNN, MSNBC, Washington Post? Throw it into the comments section. I want to see if you guys know who it was, or if you could guess. White House press secretary, who is Black and lesbian, by the way, Carol Jean-Pierre, she practically jumped with joy the other day as she told MSNBC, she was on tape, that, quote, the president has always put equity at the center of every policy that he's put forward. That's probably a problem. I don't think that's something to jump with joy with there, Carol Jean-Pierre. I think that that's the reason why we're where we're at. Sam Brinton, for example, stealing women's panties at the airport, some luggage. He took some luggage, and was found guilty of those crimes. And I think he was forced to resign, or they fired him. I can't remember which one, but obviously a diversity hire or some sort of equity hire. And yeah, that's what you get with the Biden administration. So later, I do want to talk also about this woman. She has this really bizarre meltdown over a McDonald's wrapper. And this McDonald's wrapper, it's blue and white. And she's claiming that this is a wrapper that supports Israel, and she has a complete meltdown over it. So I think you're going to want to stick around for that one. So let's get to Vivek Ramaswamy. And as always, live YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. So Vivek Ramaswamy, he takes down this journalismer, and it is just an amazing video. I would download this, save it for the kids, and pull it out, maybe around Christmas time, share it with the family. This is pretty funny. And if you guessed Washington Post, you'd be correct. Yes, this journalismer came from the Washington Post. Vivek Ramaswamy. Uh, he totally roasted this journalismer, and he had the best answer. And the backstory prior to this clip, okay, is a WAPO content creator attempting to do a journalism. Okay, this is not a journalist. She's a journalismer or a content creator, and she's trying to do a journalism by bringing up something that a former congressman said back in 2019. That's 4 years ago, and she tries to do this whole gotcha thing with Vivek Ramaswamy. And she brings this up about a former congressman, something he said in 2019. That's 4 years ago. It has nothing to do with Vivek Ramaswamy. But she uses that as an excuse to ask Vivek Ramaswamy about white supremacy. I don't think I need to tell you Vivek Ramaswamy is a brown man. So she questions him. When Vivek Ramaswamy answers her question using, different words in a different order than she liked, she said, quote, "You didn't say that you condemn white supremacy, though." I don't think he really has to condemn white supremacy. Vivek Ramaswamy isn't even, he's not white. Okay. So I don't know why she even asked him this question. Obviously, he's not a white supremacist, he's a brown man. And Vivek Ramaswamy, boom goes the dynamite. This is the clip. I've got to share it with you. You guys can find it on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Rumble. You can watch it. It's even better when you watch it. But here's the clip. Here we go.
Against vicious racial discrimination in this country. So I'm not pledging allegiance to your new religion of modern wokeism, which actually fits the test. I'm not going to bend the knee to your religion. I'm sorry. I'm not asking you to bend the knee to mine, and I'm not going to bend the knee to yours. But do I condemn vicious racial discrimination? Yes, I do. Am I going to play your silly game of gotcha? No, I'm not. And frankly, this is why people have lost trust. And I know you're going to go print the headline tomorrow. I already know this. We already know how your game works. Vivek Ramaswamy refuses to condemn white supremacy because you asked a stupid question. The reality is, I condemn vicious racial discrimination in this country, but the kind of vicious and systematic racial discrimination we see today is discrimination on the basis of race in a very different direction. You want to know what the best way is to end discrimination on the basis of race? Stop discriminating on the basis of race. Do that, and we're going to move this country forward. And I don't care whether you're black or white or brown or anything in between. That's how we're going to unite this country. You people have been responsible for dividing this country to a breaking point, creating a projection of national division. I meet people from the south side of Chicago to meetings like this one of every shade of melanin, multiple, from man to woman, doesn't make a difference, who are hungry for reviving unity in this country. And you, with your catechism that you try to get to politicians to whatever fake headline you're going to print on the basis of this conversation tomorrow, that's what's dividing this country to a breaking point. Shame on you. Look people in the eye and tell them what you've actually failed to tell them for the last 5 years. Own the accountability for your own failures as the media. That's how we rebuild trust in this country. And until then, I don't have a lot of patience to play the games.
Ooh. I don't have a lot of patience to play the games. I do have to take a quick break, but we're live on the stream. That's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. We're going to come back talking a little bit about Vivek Ramaswamy in that takedown. I'm just saying, Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, you guys better be ready for that kind of question, because these journalismers, they love that question. Will you condemn white supremacy? And there's a reason why they asked that question. And I'm going to get to that reason why here coming up in just about 5 minutes. And we'll also talk about Jeffrey Epstein, because the client list, I mean, it's not really the client list. There's court documents. There's a lot of court documents out, and there's a few names that I want to bring up. And you're going to want to stick around that for that here on the Buzz. Cities 92.9. Good morning. Hey, smash that like button if you're watching. I appreciate it. Let's get to our very busy comment section. Donald Trump grabbing genitals. What's your point? So, of course, people are going to bring this out. Actually, everybody said that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, they were like this, like this. The court documents actually totally disparage any kind of claims that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were pals and that Donald Trump um, was partaking in any of the, pedophilia or the sex trafficking that was going on. There's actually a court document that lays out, hey, did Donald Trump ever ask you for a massage? And this was an interview with a Jane Doe. Their names have been concealed for protection, obviously. And she goes, no. And there were all kinds of questions about Donald Trump. And uh, across the board, none of the women talked about Donald Trump doing any of what Jeffrey Epstein. We've got Prince Andrew. We've got Alan Dershowitz. We've got Tom Pritzker. There's multiple names, over 200 high profile names. There's so many names. But I want to bring up Dan's comment here because it's very important to distinguish what was going on at Jeffrey Epstein's island and comments Donald Trump said. Okay, there's a difference. One, action versus words. Okay, to sit there and to say, grab her by the is wrong and it's offensive as a woman. I'm going to just tell you that. However, I know that's how men talk. Okay, it's locker room talk. It's men being men, and men when their testosterone is left unchecked, and you can actually just see it. He has I love Melania. He has a good family life now, but he has had multiple wives and has not been able to have that balance of estrogen in his life, Donald Trump. And this is why I think that his ego gets the best of him sometimes. And he has what I call unchecked T, unchecked testosterone. You need to have a balance. That's why men and women come together in marriage because it checks those. And it checks that testosterone. And Donald Trump hasn't really had a solid marriage. Now he's with Melania, and that's probably going to be the solid marriage that he has. But he's had multiple divorces. And yeah, when men's testosterone is left unchecked, that is the kind of comments they make. There's a big difference between what Jeffrey Epstein did and what Donald Trump said. Okay, huge. And you cannot deny that. I've seen videos come out. Now, I don't know if any of this is true, but I would not be shocked. I've seen it on Twitter. A woman, she was tied down, and I know this is going to be graphic, so full disclosure, graphic, graphic, graphic. She was not like tied down, but there was like some sort of metal thing around her neck, naked, in the grass in the Virgin Islands, from what I'm gathering here from this clip. It was released, and she was burned by a man, and she was a woman, completely naked, and they put this metal thing around just her neck to pin her down to the ground, and they were burning her while she was naked. Okay, that is a huge difference. A man saying something disturbing, which happens when you have unchecked T, when you have unchecked testosterone, and when you don't have a solid female role in the home, and when you let your marriage fall apart. Okay, um, that's Donald Trump's personal life, and I don't agree with what he has said. I mean, it's bad, but I know I'm an adult, and I understand that that's how men speak, and it's disturbing. But when you have unchecked T, or when men don't have that balance in their life, you'll typically hear, and I am not in any way going after divorced men in any type of way, but the culprits of that type of language, you'll never hear a happily married man say those types of things. Um, Usually divorced men and usually single men say those types of things. So yeah, big difference between what Jeffrey Epstein did in those on those Virgin Islands and in hotel rooms and in New York and London. There is a big difference between forcing a minor to have sex with somebody and coming out and saying something vulgar. So do not play that game here. We won't. I'm not going to allow that. Um, but like I'm an adult and I understand that Donald Trump is a divorced man. He has not had a solid family. Despite all of what he's been through as far as divorce and multiple children and multiple marriages, I'm not going to judge him for that. Okay, but it's facts. I mean, you will never hear a happily married man just say things like that. It's only single men and men who are divorced. They tend to say very disturbing things to women that is offensive to women. Men, when they hear men say that, they know that testosterone is a crazy thing, and they are vulgar. Have you ever been on a construction site? Probably not, Dan. I'm willing to bet. But we're back. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. Thanks so much for tuning in. And yes, Jeffrey Epstein, it's come out now that there's these unsealed court documents. And yesterday I discussed this ABC anchor. So back in 2019, she was actually on tape. It was leaked by Project Veritas, James O'Keefe. This ABC anchor, she had the story back in 2016. Okay, so in 2019, she's on tape. She goes, I had the story 3 years ago. That would have put it at 2016 when she had the story. She interviewed women that were at Jeffrey Epstein's Virgin Islands, this sex island. She had everything. She had everything about Bill Clinton, and she said that her producer killed the story. This ABC news anchor. That's what she said on tape. It was leaked, and then they fired this producer who clipped that tape. She didn't link it to Project Veritas. She doesn't even know who James O'Keefe was. She was the producer at the time who clipped the tape. It was a hot mic that the ABC anchor was on, saying that she had that story back in 2016, but her producer killed that story. And I was discussing this yesterday because Dick Durbin, he's a senator here in Illinois, and it's disturbing. I don't know how we continue to elect these people. I don't know how we continue to elect Governor J.B. Pritzker, how we elected Bill Clinton, or how we managed to elect Dick Durbin, Governor J.B. Pritzker, and Bill Clinton. Like, this is disturbing that we actually have people who went out and voted for these types of people. And I'll get to that here in just a second. But Dick Durbin, he was questioned. Hey, why aren't you being more transparent about these flight logs? We need these flight logs. Senator Blackburn, Marsha Blackburn, she comes out and she says, hey, I want the release of the flight logs. And Dick Durbin puts it on the back burner, and he denies even knowing anything about this release of the flight logs. He says, I don't know anything about that. What do you mean? Your committee's supposed to hear it and we're supposed to get that released. You're the guy that's supposed to release them. Why aren't you releasing them? And he gets chased down by this reporter, confronted by a reporter, and he just shuts her down, and plays dumb. Okay, that's disturbing. And it's even more disturbing now that we've seen some unsealed court documents that talk about how Epstein forced a minor to have sexual relations with a Harvard law professor, Alan Dershowitz. Alan Dershowitz is a close friend of Jeffrey Epstein's, and he's a criminal defense attorney. There's also other names. We have the billionaire Hyatt Hotels executive chairman. That's Thomas Pritzker. He's been identified in these Epstein documents. And allegedly, he was involved in sexual activities with this Epstein victim. In the court documents, this is how the interview goes. The authorities, they questioned the woman. They say, how many times have you had sex with Tom Pritzker? She goes, I believe I was with Tom once. And Thomas is the heir to the Pritzker family. There is 11 billionaires. This Pritzker family includes 11 billionaires. The most notable members, we know him, Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois, and we also know Penny Pritzker. She's the Harvard board chair. Interesting. Harvard. We have a Harvard professor, Alan Dershowitz, who, they forced this woman. Her name is Jane Doe number 3 in the court documents. They forced this woman to have sexual relations with Alan Dershowitz. It's so disturbing. And I'm glad that I've got a few names for you. I'm not going to, there's plenty of names. I think there's like over 200 plus high profile people that were exposed in these court documents that were just unsealed. But so far, I know for sure, and I've read through Prince Andrew. We have Alan Dershowitz, Tom Pritzker, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, we think, was named at least 50 times in these court documents. Or was named at least 50 times in these court documents because he's John Doe, I think, 36. So before we took the break, I was telling you guys a little bit about Vivek Ramaswamy. He takes down this reporter. This reporter tries to ask him this question. Hey, why didn't you condemn white supremacy? So she brings up this 2019 congressman, a former congressman back in 2019, said something 4 years ago, and she uses that as an excuse to ask Vivek Ramaswamy about white supremacy. And he says, look, I am not going to play your stupid games. He goes, I condemn vicious racist discrimination in this country. But the kind of vicious racial discrimination we see today is discrimination on the basis of race in a very different direction. So, what is he talking about? He's talking about equity, diversity, equity, and inclusion, where people are seeing people only for the color of their skin or for their sexual orientation and then putting them in jobs that they aren't qualified for. And I'm sorry, but that's racist because that's racist, it's sexist, it's weird. Why would you put somebody in a position only on the basis of their race? It makes no sense, and it's racist. And he says, "I'm not going to ask you to bend the knee to my religion, so I'm not going to bend the knee to your religion." So there's a specific reason why these journalismers, like this one from WAPO, it was a WAPO content creator who is attempting to do a journalism by asking that question of, do you condemn white supremacy? Why do they ask that question? And I sure hope if Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley or whoever is running in that GOP primary, it really doesn't matter at this point. Donald Trump is going to get it, even though he's been tossed off the ballot in a couple of states. I still think he'd win. But anyway, so Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, I hope they both better be ready for this, and they should take a page out of Vivek Ramaswamy's book and answer it the way he did. But there's a reason why these journalismers ask this question. It's because Joe Biden, he's announced that he's going to give a speech on January 6th about white supremacy, and he has made this alleged threat of white supremacy the cornerstone of his reelection campaign. That is how he thinks he's going to get reelected. Remember that speech he gave? I think it was where George Washington led the American Revolution, Valley Forge. He mumbled his way through this speech, and he condemned white supremacy and said that January 6th was an insurrection and that the biggest threat to our democracy is white supremacy. Okay. So, on a related note, Joe Biden is losing ground with voters of color across almost every demographic. Okay. Critics say that Democrats have nothing else to run on. So that's why they're going to make it all about white supremacy. And by critics, I mean anybody with functioning brain cells. Everybody sees the writing on the wall. They have nothing else to run on, so they are running on white supremacy being the greatest threat to America. And Joe Biden is losing ground with people, with voters of color across every single demographic. And there was a memo that went out to reporters uh, from the White House and said, hey, you have to make everything about white supremacy. Like straight up a White House memo that said, hey, you guys should report on white supremacy. It's a big problem. Vivek Ramaswamy here in that clip I just played for you, he set the standard for all these candidates, and every single candidate, when it comes right down to, county board or dog catcher, because the media is going to ask you if you're white supremacist. You need to answer it the way Vivek Ramaswamy answered it just now, that he's not going to bend the knee to this new religion that the media is following at the behest of the White House. So I do have to take a quick break, but when we come back, we've got so much to run through. I do want to talk about uh, what do I got? The White House press secretary, Kieran Jean-Pierre. She jumped with Joya the other day. And she told MSNBC that the president always, always, always puts equity at the center of every single policy that he puts forward. Well, that's the problem. You see, Kieran Jean-Pierre, that is the problem. And we need to fix that problem by booting this guy out of office. That's next on The Buzz. Find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it. Go ahead and smash that like button. Here we go. Let's get to some of your comments. Remember, Trump is no ordinary man. He's wealthy, he's famous, he's powerful, and he's handsome. All the ingredients that scream chick magnet. And there are women all over the world who would throw themselves at men like that. Been going on since Moses wore short pants. Trump just arrogantly pointing that universal fact out. So please, already with that nonsense. Okay. Yeah. So you're probably talking about Dan's comment here. Like I said, yeah, you cannot compare what Donald Trump said at this locker room talk to what is going on at Jeffrey Epstein's island. I talked about the court documents being unsealed. There's actually some court documents that exonerate or Donald Trump was mentioned in the court documents, and they said, "Did Donald Trump ever ask for a massage from you? Did Donald Trump ever ask this from you or this from you? Did you ever massage Donald Trump?" And the Jane Doe, she says no. So everywhere in these court documents that were unsealed, it pretty much exonerates Donald Trump. And you'll get people who say, "Oh, well, this." Every single one that I've seen so far, Donald Trump has been exonerated of anything that has gone on in Jeffrey Epstein's island. So there are over 200, I think, high-profile people named in these court documents. So we're going to be talking a lot about that. If you're watching, smash that like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and share this out with friends. Good morning. So appreciate y'all listening. I appreciate it. Okay, I'm not a real man. I don't talk or I don't grab, and I don't ever talk about it. Now that you've pointed out, real women understand, don't mind. Um, Friday night, here I come. So you're mistaking what I said. I said that men who go through things like divorce or don't have that balance of estrogen in their life where their testosterone goes unchecked or it's not balanced with a stable woman in their life, typically single men and divorced men. Okay. Doesn't mean you're not a real man if you don't talk like that. Typically, I will say that divorced men or single men talk that way, and happily married men don't talk that way. So if you're a man and you don't talk that way, the likelihood that you are married happily is pretty high. And if you're not, yeah, that's very rare. It's rare and most likely yeah, if you're divorced and single, you talk that way. I've been on construction sites, I've heard men speak. That's how they speak, that's how they talk. And there's, like I said, we're comparing apples to oranges here. What was going on at Jeffrey Epstein's island and what Jeffrey Epstein was doing with Bill Clinton, with Prince Andrew, with Alan Dershowitz, with Tom Pritzker, what all these people were doing, that's action and that's crime. Talking nasty is not a crime. Talking nasty is what comes with the male territory. Okay. I'll be back in just a little bit. Smash the like button. You're listening to the Morning Buzz. Wowza. I'm not here for this. I don't like this. Jesse Waters. No, I don't know. I don't watch Fox News anymore ever since they booted Tucker Carlson. But there was this tarot card reader, and they went on Fox News. This is deeply disturbing. I don't know why Fox News allowed this. It's offensive to me as a Christian, but this tarot card reader predicts a sense of loss for Donald Trump in 2024. So Jesse Waters, he had a tarot card reader come on to his show and make some predictions about the 2024 election. Probably because a different guest canceled, but I don't know. All I know is he decided to waste time with a tarot card reader, and I'm not here for it. I think it's disturbing. So we are going to be talking a little bit about that and what the tarot card reader said. It's weird that they even had her on the show. I don't know why they allowed that. I thought, Fox News had some Christians there. Apparently not. Tarot card reading is, ugh. But we'll be back talking a little bit about that. But first, I do want to talk about the White House press secretary, Kieran Jean-Pierre. If you ask the left, equity is supposed to fix racism once and for all. Only racism can fix racism. Two wrongs make a right. It's the exception to the rule, even though it's a logical contradiction at best. Racism can fix racism. That's what the left believes, and they think that that's the answer. Racism can fix racism. Two wrongs make a right. In every other scenario, two wrongs don't make a right. But in the left's head and in these leftists' head, they think that two wrongs make a right. We all know that that statement makes no sense, but like I said, sense is not something progressives will let get in the way of their agenda. They have an agenda, so racism can fix racism. That's the pinnacle of their ideology. Racism can fix racism. It makes no sense, but like I said, progressives they don't do common sense. They don't do sense. Now, White House press secretary Kieran Jean-Pierre, who is black and gay, she practically jumped with joy and the other day, and she told MSNBC, quote, "The president has always put equity at the center of every policy." Well, isn't that the problem there, Kieran Jean-Pierre? And I'm not making fun of her because she's black and gay. I'm making fun of the fact that that is so important to her. That is her entire existence. That is why she's there. Sleepy Joe makes sure skin color guides his policies. And for some reason, the left thinks that's a good thing. I'm sorry, but that's racist. And she's probably so happy because she benefited from the White House placing equity at the center of every policy because she wouldn't be in her position today had that not been the case. So here we go. Kieran Jean-Pierre. This is pretty funny because she's like practically giddy. This is disturbing. Here we go. Let's take a listen.
Equity at the center of every policy he's put forward, every legislation that he's put forward, because we understand that many communities have been left behind. We're not trying to do the trickle down economics. We really, truly are not. So look, the president has always put equity at the center of every policy he's.
Yikes. Kieran Jean-Pierre, there she is. So according to post-millennial White House press secretary Kieran Jean-Pierre told MSNBC on Tuesday that President Joe Biden has always put equity at the center of every policy he's put forward. She gave this response in answer to questions about the economy and the difficulty Americans have been having at the gas pump and at the grocery store. You and I both understand. I mean, my paycheck, it's gas and groceries. That's it. There's nothing I can do because inflation has gotten so insane. It's gas, groceries. And Kieran Jean-Pierre, she was asked about this new poll that shows a decline in Biden support and more voters going to Donald Trump, where Latinos now favor Donald Trump by 5 points. Okay, she was asked about this poll. Instead of answering the question, Kieran Jean-Pierre spoke about the hotly contested 2020 election, Biden's record on the economy, and said, quote, "The president has always put equity at the center of every policy he's put forward." So she made it about equity again, because Donald Trump, or because Joe Biden, that's all he's got to run on: white supremacy. We covered that here in early in the 6 o'clock hour. Do have to take a break, but when we come back, I'm gonna unpack a little bit more about what Kieran Jean Pierre said, and then you won't believe this. It feels weird to say that someone's so butthurt about Israel's existence. It feels weird to say that someone so butthurt about Israel's existence needs to find Jesus, but it's the best way I can describe this woman. She needs to find some Jesus. Okay. She got a McDonald's wrapper that was blue and white, and she lost her mind. She went bananas, because she thought that the wrapper, because it was blue and white, this McDonald's sandwich, she thought that they were supporting Israel with this wrapper, and she found it disgusting. So I've got the clip here coming up in just a little bit. Find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rebel. Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it. If you're watching, smash that like button. Smash it right now. Everyone is not equal. Yes. We're all different, and we all have different abilities, and that should be celebrated. And trying to get everybody on the same playing field, that just doesn't make sense, and it's impossible. But like I said, the pinnacle of the Democrat ideology is racism can fix racism. They are being very racist when they say, hey, we're only going to look at your skin color and your sexual orientation, and we're going to determine if you get this job based off of those things. That makes no sense. Yeah. I want to get to some of your comments. But compared to all the bought and paid for professional politician, he has my vote. He was the first to defend President Donald Trump. He's not a Christian. Yeah, Henry, I know you're talking about Vivek Ramaswamy. I love Vivek Ramaswamy. I think he's a really good candidate. If ever anything happened to Donald Trump, and believe me, I think that's the next thing to happen here, where he is assassinated. They did it with JFK, the CIA, and the deep state, um, while he was president. And I saw this the other day. Tell me how this makes sense. How did Donald Trump commit an insurrection, without, or like, he commit an insurrection? He was the sitting president at the time. He insurrected himself. Like, wait a second. How does a sitting president commit insurrection? But anyway, yeah, they killed JFK. We know this. I've gone through the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and I think that was about 60 years ago or something like that. Yeah, we just had another anniversary back in November of John F. Kennedy being assassinated. There were 2 bullets, okay, and there's so much behind that. That's where we lost this country. A nationalist populist president who will not be provoked into war is the greatest threat to the deep state. They don't like that. You want to know why? Because they make money when we're at war, and when we participate in globalism. Okay. The Democrats, they're all about the globalism. They're all about the finance, big banks making money that way, ESG scores, things like that. The Cowboys, I call those guys Yankees. The Cowboys are big Texas oil. You've got the military industrial complex. They're all about that. This is the uniparty, and they actually get along. Okay. They pretend like they don't get along, but they actually get along. When it comes to the big issues like going into war, they are like, yes, let's go to war. Let's do this so that way we can make money for us and all of our cronies. JFK, they also cooked up the Watergate scandal against Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon was a nationalist populist president, and they wanted him out of there because he wasn't controllable. Donald Trump, we're seeing it play out with Donald Trump. There is nothing new under the sun. There's just nothing new under the sun. They've done this to presidents in the past. specifically nationalist populist presidents, people who are America first and will not be provoked into war. Um, and Donald Trump, it's either they're going to kill him or they're going to keep. I mean, they're throwing everything they've got at him, just shy of killing him. So, like I said, if Donald Trump were to be killed, that would probably be the only reason why I vote for Vivek Ramaswamy, because Vivek Ramaswamy is not a Christian. I am a Christian conservative in that order. So I I I have uh, reasons for that. I don't elect people who are not Christians and proclaim that they are Christians. I just don't. Um, so smash that like button. I do like Vivek Ramaswamy, though. I like everything that's come from him. I don't trust him. It's odd to me. And the reason why, really, I don't trust him is because he's lying. He's already started out this campaign lying because he's not a Christian. He is a practicing Hindu, but continuously talks about the Christian religion and says that it's a good thing that that is the dominant religion here in the United States. And to abandon your Hindu faith like that, um, and to really lie and like say that that's not the truth, it just goes to show you that you're kind of wishy-washy. If you don't even follow your own religion, um, what kind of person, is that? So I'm back now. Good morning. Hey, this is The Morning Buzz. I appreciate you tuning in each and every morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. And we've been talking about inflation. We've been talking about the economy. Carol Jean-Pierre, until she's blue in the face, she'll sit there and she'll say that the economy's great. The economy's great. In fact, she even went as far as to say this. She said that Biden has been trying to build the middle class. What? I'm spitting out my coffee here. No, he's not building the middle class. I've talked about this before. He is only building public sector. Like when he says, "Oh, I've created all these jobs. I've created all these jobs." That's what he talks about when he talks about Bidenomics. It's this: I've created so many jobs. First of all, some of those jobs came back from the pandemic. You can't include the jobs that came back after the pandemic. Okay. Some of us, the essential workers, restaurant workers, you can't include those jobs because those jobs were there. They just came back after the pandemic, after the stay at home order. You can't count those. Also, you can't count all of these public sector jobs because those aren't good jobs. He's created lots of public sector jobs. That's Becky, who works for the government, and that's and she's some sort of White House Twitter contributor. Okay, so she operates the Twitter account, or you're digging ditches for the city. Okay, those aren't good jobs. Those jobs suck. And that's all he's got. He says, "Oh, I've created all these jobs." No, you haven't, Joe. And this is what Kieran Jean-Pierre says in this interview with MSNBC, where she says the president has always put equity at the center of every policy he's put forward. Well, that's the problem. But then she also says, as for the 2020 Biden voters who may be disillusioned with his record, she calls the Biden voters disillusioned. Do you really want to vote for Joe Biden again? Biden voters, say you voted for Joe Biden in 2020. What's wrong with you? First of all. Second of all, you were just called disillusioned. She just called you an idiot without calling you an idiot. Okay. She's gaslighting you. She goes, "We're going to continue to have those conversations to let that strong coalition know what we've done in almost 3 years of this administration, in the almost 3 years of this administration." That's what she says to MSNBC. Enough with the gaslighting over the economy. You didn't create jobs. Those jobs were there prior to the pandemic. They came back after the pandemic. And all you've really created are public sector jobs. And I don't want a public sector job. I want a private sector job. And those are the good jobs. And everyone, and I mean everyone, knows how bad the cost of living has been since Joe Biden took office. What exactly is she going to say to convince these disillusioned Biden voters who voted in 2020? She called you stupid, by the way. Disillusioned. What does that mean? You just called these 2020 Biden voters stupid because they're not buying into your crap. They're not buying into it. And his record is very clear. His record is very clear, and there's nothing that can be said to change the reality of Bidenomics, because everyone alive today also lived under Donald Trump. And from just being alive, it's obvious whose economy benefits the middle class. And I'm just going to go on the record and say that I think it's the administration that doesn't prioritize equity. Okay. All right. I do have to take a break. We're getting close to the 7 o'clock hour. Find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. And yes, we are going to be talking about Jeffrey Epstein, because there's some names that you need to know that were unsealed. Alan Dershowitz, he's a Harvard law professor. Tom Pritzker, who I believe is the cousin of Governor J.B. Pritzker. We've also got Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton. This is disturbing. The news coming out from these unsealed court documents. That's next on The Buzz. Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it. If you're watching, go ahead and smash the like button. I'm back. Um, and I do want to talk about this tarot card reading. I don't like tarot cards. I don't do the astrology, the astronomy, the climatology. It's all the same crap, just a different day. And I don't know what this obsession is, but there's a lot of women, specifically my age, who are fascinated by like their astrological sign. And I'm more like, oh, astrological sigh. It really doesn't. I don't care. I'm not sure why anybody cares about their astrological sign. But there was a tarot card reader. Jesse Waters had this individual on his program, and I don't know why he did. But she actually makes some predictions about the 2024 election and how President Donald Trump. Um, she sensed there's a loss for Trump in 2024. So I'm not here for it. I think it's dumb. And I don't know if you guys caught it on Fox News last night. I think it was on last night, but uh, what do you think about it? A tarot card reader on Fox News? It's bizarre. Jeffrey Epstein, he forced a minor to have sexual relations with Harvard law professor. The Harvard law professor's name is Alan Dershowitz. Yes, we are starting to see the unsealing of some court documents. Yesterday, I brought up how ABC News, there was actually this anchor, and she said she had the story back in 2016. Now, reminder, Hillary Clinton was running in 2016, and this ABC anchor, she said her producer actually killed the story. So this was all caught on a hot mic, her talking about how she had the story back in 2016. And James O'Keefe, he leaked it, Project Veritas, the hot mic clip. And I mean, they went as far, ABC did, to contact this woman who already left ABC. She was the one who cut the video. She made the clip where the anchor talks about how she had this story. Now, she didn't leak it to Project Veritas. She didn't give it to James O'Keefe or anything like that. What she did, she just clipped it, and then she wound up going to a different job. She was fired at CBS, which was her brand new job. She was fired from there simply for the reason she clipped this clip of this anchor talking about the Jeffrey Epstein story and how she had it in 2016, and they launched a full investigation to the person who leaked the clip and everything at ABC, but nobody launched an investigation into why this story wasn't out there in 2016. This story should have been out there in 2016, and it could have been out there in 2016, at least according to this anchor from ABC. Now we have some unsealed court documents. Now, I'm going to be very careful. I like to sit on things for a while until I know for sure what I'm talking about. I don't like to get behind the mic and just talk. Uh, now, this Jane Doe number 3. Now, I've read some of the court documents. Jane Doe number 3, she was a minor, okay, who was forced to have sexual relations with people on behalf of Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Jeffrey Epstein, he forced the then minor Jane Doe 3, this is a quote from the documents, to have sexual relations with former Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz. Alan Dershowitz is a close friend of Jeffrey Epstein and a well-known criminal defense attorney. Who else is named in these documents that I feel comfortable anyway talking about this morning? Later in the week, I'm sure I'll get to other names, but Tom Pritzker has come up a couple of times, and I feel comfortable bringing up his name. The Pritzker family sexual deviancy issues have been running rampant. Okay, the Pritzker family is gross. You've got Jennifer Pritzker. He's at the helm and at the he's at the forefront here when it comes to this transgender genital mutilation stuff with children. And then you've got Governor J.B. Pritzker signing legislation that promotes pornography in public schools and public libraries, and actually penalizes people who don't condone that stuff, and they actually remove the pornographic materials from these children areas in the schools and in the libraries. He's withholding funding from libraries that say, pornography on the shelves, we're not going to do that for the kids. So he actually penalizes them by withholding funding. That's a law here in the state of Illinois. The sexual deviancy, just in the Democrat Party, but also in the Pritzker family, it's rampant. Okay, it's been running rampant for some time. And the billionaire Hyatt Hotels executive chairman, Thomas Pritzker, who I believe is the cousin of Governor J.B. Pritzker, he's been identified in these documents. And allegedly, he was involved in some sexual activities with a Epstein victim. And here's the court documents, the Q&A, how it goes with the Jane Doe. They say, how many times have you had, and did you have to have sex with Tom Pritzker? And she goes, I believe I only had Tom once. I was with Tom once. And Thomas Pritzker is the heir to the Pritzker family. Okay, now the Pritzker family loaded with billionaires. I think there's at least 11 billionaires in that family. The most notable, obviously, Governor J.B. Pritzker. And then there's this Harvard board chair, Penny Pritzker. That's another one. And I think it's odd that there's a Harvard law professor involved in this. There's also the Harvard board chair who is involved in this, Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking. The most alarming parts about the newly unsealed Jeffrey Epstein documents is this section that describes Jeffrey Epstein allegedly forcing an underage girl to have sex with Prince Andrew whenever he wanted. So I guess there were 3 separate occasions. Here's the court documents. Here's what they say. Jane Doe number 3 was forced to have sexual relations with Prince Andrew when she was a minor in 3 separate geographical locations, once in London, at Maxwell's apartment in New York, and on the private island in the Virgin Islands. The time with the private island, this is disturbing. She was forced to have an orgy with numerous other underage girls. Jeffrey Epstein instructed Jane Doe number 3 to give the prince whatever he demanded and required of Jane Doe number 3. This is disturbing. This is very disturbing. And yeah, I mean, I'm starting to see a lot come out about the Jeffrey Epstein Island and what went on there. And I don't feel comfortable talking about it today because I've got to do some more research. But let's just say there is some truly disturbing things that took place on that island and actions. So earlier in the show, I had some comments from somebody who is super against Donald Trump, does not like Donald Trump. And he mentioned, hey, Donald Trump saying that thing, the locker room talk. I can't say it on the air, but you guys know, grab her by the, and it's an infamous quote from Donald Trump. I do want to address that because so far in the court documents, the unsealed court documents, I've seen one document that exonerates Donald Trump from ever having anything to do with the weird stuff on Jeffrey Epstein's island. There was one court document where this Jane Doe was grilled and asked, hey, did Donald Trump ever ask you for a massage? And she says no. So there's documents out there that actually exonerates Donald Trump from doing nefarious things on Jeffrey Epstein's island. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's address the comment. Okay, there is a big difference. So Danny brought up, Trump, talking about grabbing genitals. What's your point? He's a terrible guy too. Well, let me talk about this because you're comparing apples to oranges here. What's going on in Jeffrey Epstein's island, and I'm not ready to bring this onto air, but there was a video out there, and I've got to confirm it. But it's truly disturbing what they've done to these underage women on that island. Those are actionable. That's an action that was done against a woman. Okay, and that's a crime. It's not a crime to talk nasty. And when you look into Donald Trump's personal life, it's pretty clear why he made those comments. He has no balance of estrogen in his life, really. I mean, he's now settled down with Melania. Maybe it'll last, maybe it won't, but he's gone through multiple divorces. I'm not judging Donald Trump. I'm just pointing out the facts that I've only ever heard divorced men and single men talk in this way. And the reason why is because there's some unchecked unchecked testosterone. There's a reason why men and women get married and why that is just such a This is just such a powerful thing that God talks about in the Bible is marriage between a man and a woman. When you have unchecked T, which is what Donald Trump has because he has no balance of estrogen in his life because he was divorced multiple times and has no strong woman in his life. Now that he's married to Melania, right? But you hear that kind of language come from men who are typically single or divorced. That's just in my experience. I don't like what Donald Trump said, but I understand it and I know where it comes from. It's because he's got unchecked T, this ego of his, this attitude of his. It's because he's never truly had a marriage that worked well. Now that he's with Melania, I think that this marriage works well for him. But like I said, unchecked T. Anyway, I wanted to address that. That's Jeffrey Epstein's island. Some of the court documents that I've seen so far, everything looks to exonerate Donald Trump. He was pictured with Jeffrey Epstein at a couple of events. He was very high profile. That's not out of the ordinary to have a picture with Jeffrey Epstein. But from what I understand, Donald Trump never partook in any of these nefarious activities that were at Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking island. So, all right. Do want to talk about this story. I think that I'm going to shift gears. We're going to talk about this woman. And let's just say I think she needs to find some Jesus. This woman, it feels weird to say that someone so butthurt about Israel's existence needs to find Jesus, but it's the best way I can describe this woman. She got a McDonald's wrapper, and it was blue and white, and she decided that that meant that McDonald's was supporting Israel, and she found that disgusting. So she demanded to speak to the manager. Yes, I'm going to call this woman Karen. So this woman Karen, she goes, "What's this?" And they say that's a McChicken wrapper. And she goes, "Why is it blue and white?" And then the fast food employee says, "Honestly, I don't know." And she goes, "I think you know." So it's clear Karen has never really worked with fast food or talked to fast food employees before. And I say this as someone who used to be a fast food employee. Not only do we not know or not know what you're talking about, but we probably don't care if you're trying to, ask me about the origins of this rapper or what this rapper means. None of us want to be there. No food worker wants to be there. Fast food jobs are for beer money on the weekends. Now, no one at McDonald's is thinking about the global conflicts and as they're wrapping your McChicken. I promise you that. Nobody at McDonald's is thinking about the global conflicts uh, as they're wrapping your McChicken. Karen is lucky that she didn't get a McLoogie in her McChicken between her bun and her tomato. Okay. But here it is, the clip. I think that this is pretty interesting. And it just goes to show you how messed up the world is. She jumped to the conclusion here that this red and white McDonald's wrapper is some sort of support or supports Israel in some sort of way, and that McDonald's is supporting Israel in some sort of way. So let's take a listen. Here we go.
Starving.
Oh, here we go.
So I had to get one quick sandwich from here. And I thought they gave me the wrong sandwich, but conveniently, McDonald's changed their packaging. Wow. What does that resemble? Yeah. So what is this?
This one?
Yeah. What is this new packaging?
It's the McChicken wrapper.
But why is it blue and white?
I honestly, I don't know.
I think you do know. This is in support of Israel. They changed it.
I mean, it was like that actually since a few months ago because we ran out of the regular ones.
No, I don't think so. This is obviously in support of Israel.
No, I mean, we actually had that for a while though.
This was here 2 weeks ago and it wasn't like this.
I mean, we have had it though because we also have the red one.
I know this is not your fault because you're an employee, but I think this is disgusting for them to do this. And I know you in your heart, that this is clearly what this wrapper is for.
I mean, I didn't know.
I'm explaining it to you. This is what it's for. This is the color of their flag. This is clearly what they're doing and what they're showing to people. And I think it's disgusting.
Oh no. And I think it's disgusting. Honey, you need a little bit of Jesus. Oh gosh. So this is an interesting note. There's many people on this post. They're saying, the independent fact checkers, they're out, they're fact checking this. This was a big thing in October. this rapper situation. So I guess this happened in October. It's just now going viral. We missed it because there were much more serious examples of anti-Semitism going on that I wanted to cover, and then everybody was covering. But McDonald's using these generic wrappers. They've been using these generic wrappers for years because there's a shortage. There's a supply shortage in these other wrappers. And they actually use these for special orders most of the time, to kind of mark, hey, this is a special McChicken or something like that. So you learn something new every day. Apparently, these red or these blue and white wrappers have been a thing at McDonald's. Karen obviously is a white liberal, and oh, I bet she would have been excited had the wrapper been blue and yellow because Slava Ukraini, glory to Ukraine, right? She would have been all about the blue and yellow wrapper, but because it's blue and white, that's disgusting, as she said. Now I wonder what her reaction would be if the wrapper was red and white. Would she have even a bigger meltdown because it would remind her of some sort of MAGA red hat, a MAGA cap? Probably. Only Karen knows how she would react to that. But my bet is that she would most likely have a bigger meltdown if it was a red and white wrapping on her McChicken because it would remind her of a MAGA hat. All right, I do have to take a quick break. But you're listening to the Morning Buzz and talking about inflation. Cities929.com. We've done something for you guys. It's called Steals in Deals. Steals and Deals. It's right there on our homepage. You can go there and you can find all kinds of local gift certificates for half off. So, for example, Rob Jersey Cheese. They've got a $25 gift card there. You can buy it today for $12.50. So there you go. There's all kinds of $25 gift card to Sugar Mama Bakery. You can get it today for $12.50. Rainstorm gift card for car wash, $20. You can get it for $10 today on Steals and Deals. That's cities929.com. Bob, you crack me up. The rapper is also white. Clutching her pearls. Oh my gosh, the rapper, a McLoogie. um, yes, she probably was going to. I mean, she's lucky that she didn't get a McLoogie in that sandwich of hers because she brought this. I mean, me as a fast food worker, I say this as a former fast food worker. Come on. Um, we don't care. Oh, we're not thinking about the global conflicts. I guarantee you, as they're wrapping these chicken McChickens, they're not thinking about the global conflicts of the world. I promise you that. This is clearly a fast food job where they're getting beer money for the weekend or trying to gain enough experience to get a better job. That was my experience. I didn't drink beer on the weekends or anything like that. When I had my fast food job, I was too young. But I was trying to get some experience so that way I could go wait tables and make some good money. But yeah, uh, yeah, the rapper's white, clutching pearls. How could it be white? That's racist. I love this, Bob. This is good. This is a good one. All right, we're back in just a minute. Hey, good morning. This is the Morning Buzz. Thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it. Go ahead, find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel today for all kinds of content. I do more content than just the radio show, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time, right here on Cities 92.9. You can go there for exclusive content. Now, before I took the break, I was kind of telling you guys a little bit about Jesse Waters. Now, Jesse Waters, he invited a tarot card reader, which I just think is bizarro that Fox News even did that in the first place. But there was a tarot card reader who came onto the show, Jesse Waters show. You guys probably watch it. I know my folks, they love watching Jesse Waters, but I don't know. I stopped watching Fox News after Tucker Carlson was booted. So hey, I don't know why he had this tarot card reader come onto his show, make some predictions about the 2024 election. Maybe another guest canceled. Who knows? I don't know. But he decided to waste time with this tarot card reader. Now, this is from the Daily Caller. Fox News host Jesse Waters invited a tarot card reader to perform a reading during his show on Tuesday night. And her prediction for former President Donald Trump was less than ideal. Paula Roberts, she's a psychic. She pulled one card for Trump and another for President Joe Biden. For Trump, she drew a 5 cups, which is a card, I guess, and she interpreted this as a sense of loss for him in the new year. So the 5 cups, what it is, it's a card that portrays like this hooded figure, and this hooded figure is mourning over these 3 spilled chalices while ignoring that the 2 remain upright and full. That 2 remain upright and full. He's mourning over this one chalice. So there's 3 chalices. It's the depiction of the card. It's all gross and weird, and I don't believe any of that. But according to the tarotguide.com, the card can represent sadness, loss, loneliness, and despair, and to indicate that the subject of the reading is focusing on the negative. Okay. Look, the self-proclaimed future teller wants you to know that this might not be what you think it means. But honestly, I don't even think she knows what it means. I don't think anybody really knows what this means because it's garbage and it's not real. Okay. And what exactly does focusing on the negative mean? That phrase is so ambiguous, and it's no wonder that weak-minded people buy into this crap, buy into the tarot readings, buy into the astrological sign. I don't know what it is with women my age. I'm 24. They're all obsessed and they're insane. They've got this insane and fascination with their astrological sign. If you ask me, it's astrological sign. Oh gosh, I don't care. I don't care. Astronomy, astrology, climatology, it's all the same crap, just a different day. So let's take a listen here to how the clip on Fox News went down. Like I said, I don't know what's wrong with Fox News where they're having tarot card readers out there. Man, they must be really dying for ratings or something.
Oh.
What is that?
I mean, I do recognize that I'm at Fox TV. I have a sense of loss.
Oh.
A sense of loss. A sense of loss. He's going to lose. The fact that she laughed after she claimed to not make any of this up. So she actually was, the clip is longer. I'm not going to play all of it. But it's very specific. She says, it's as if he may be thinking more about what he's lost and not still taking full advantage of what he still has. Okay, so that's what this card means, I guess. And Waters responds to her, and he says, "That's a great interpretation, Paula." And she goes, "It's true. I don't make it up." And then she laughs. Okay, she goes, "It's true. I didn't make it up." The fact that she laughs about this, she laughed after she claimed that she didn't make any of this up, makes me think that she's making it up. I know she's making it up because tarot cards aren't real. It's disturbing. And as one listener put it, tarot is not in God's word. Tarot cards are not in God's word. And yeah, this is This is weird that Waters even had this tarot card reader on. I do have to take a quick break, but when we come back, more on this story, and I do want to chat a little bit about Vivek Ramaswamy. This is a big story today where he goes after this WAPO reporter and completely shuts her down when she tries to get him to condemn white supremacy. She's like, "Why don't you condemn white supremacy? Why don't you condemn white supremacy?" I don't think he has to condemn white supremacy. He's a brown man, first of all. Second of all, I know why you're asking that question. It's because you're shilling for the Biden campaign because that's what they're running on. They're running on white supremacy because it's all they can run on, the threat of white supremacy. I'll be back in just a little bit. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. Thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it. Coming up, a dog in Oklahoma was saved from the worst fate he could possibly have from a cat after a cat. So a cat came to this dog's rescue in Oklahoma and scared off a pair of coyotes looking for a meal. Yes. So Oakley, I've got to tell you this story um, on the Morning Buzz this morning, 309-451-9299. Good morning. This is one of these stories that just brings a smile to my face, and I love sharing these. Oakley, he's a little dog. He's like a white little dog, and Binks is a stray cat that was taken in when she was 2 months old. There aren't very similar on the surface. Obviously, these two little pets aren't similar on the surface. One's a cat, one's a dog, but they both share a strong familial bond. Their owners recently told this local news outlet about how they love each other, the stray cat and this dog that the owners both got. Now, the Dyer family said they're two animals, they're polar opposites, including their colors. So Binks is a black cat, and Oakley is a white little dog. And uh, they're polar opposites, but they're united against coyotes. So this is funny in Oklahoma. In a terrifying ordeal on November 30th, 2023, Oakley went into the backyard to go to the bathroom. Okay, little pup going out to the bathroom when a coyote started to attack. Now, I've heard this story a couple of times here in Illinois. Sometimes that happens where coyotes come up and they attack the dog. That actually happened to an old English teacher of mine, where his dog was attacked by a coyote. So you might know somebody whose dog has been attacked by a coyote. It's semi-common here in Illinois. Soon, another coyote approached. So it's not just one coyote that attacked this little dog while he was going to the bathroom, but it was two coyotes. The situation looked bleak for Oakley, the little white dog, until Binks stepped in. Binks jumped down and scared them off. So, wow, that is that's crazy. Now, while we're on the topic of black cats, so Binks is a black cat, and he's scary, and he scared him off. I want to address this black cat bias. Um, this is a real thing, and I'm not talking about fake racism. Um, okay, I'm talking about how there's an actual bias against black cats. I have a black cat. His name is Colt. He's named after the gun manufacturer, rightfully so, Colt 45. Now, according to Psychology Today, black cats are viewed as more evil and sinister than non-black cats. What? And that is common across all cultures. There's a rooted superstition, but also in the difficulty of people reading facial cues of black cats, because you can't really tell what a black cat is doing because you can't really see their facial expressions because they're black. So there's superstition there. I think this superstition is rooted in that people have a hard time reading black cats. They're not really sure what they're feeling at the time because you can't really see their facial expressions. Well, Binks is destroying this bias, this unconscious bias, and the implicit stereotypes that black cats are currently faced with. Okay, despite all of that, she still managed, Banks, to overcome all of her adversity, and she saved the day. Okay, so despite uh, all of this racism against black cats, she actually overcame her adversity and she saved the day. Binks did not even. Uh, she's such a good cat. She's such a good dad. She didn't even quiver. She was ready to take on those coyotes and scared those coyotes away from the pup that was just trying to do his business. Poor puppy. He was just trying to take care of business, and he was attacked by his feral counterparts. Uh, but, good for Oakley. I'm glad that Oakley is safe. Um, she's walking. Banks continues to watch over the backyard there. Okay. I think it's time we get Banks to fight off the coyotes at the southern border. What do you say? Now, I do want to say that Oakley did need The cat's appearance did distract the coyotes long enough for Coyote to run inside. He did end up having to go to emergency care, but he's going to make it through and he's going to be okay. So, a good story, a great story. I wanted to share with you here on the Morning Buzz. I do want to shift gears. Let's talk about Vivek Ramaswamy. This is an amazing takedown. Vivek Ramaswamy, you guys you've got to download this video if you haven't seen this video. You got to download it, inject it right into your veins, because Vivek Ramaswamy was easily the best journalism or smackdown of the GOP primary. Okay, so here we go. A little bit of background prior to this clip, where a WAPO content creator is attempting to do a journalism by bringing up something a former congressman did back in 2019, or said back in 2019. And she tries to use this as an excuse to ask Vivek Ramaswamy to condemn white supremacy. When Vivek Ramaswamy answered her question using different words in a different order than she would have liked him to use, she said, "Oh, so you didn't condemn white supremacy. So you don't condemn white." And boom goes the dynamite. Vivek Ramaswamy completely just obliterates her. Here we go. Let's take a listen. Let me pull this up here. Here we go.
Modern wokeism, which actually fits the test. I'm not going to bend the knee to your religion. I'm sorry. I'm not asking you to bend the knee to mine, and I'm not going to bend the knee to yours. But do I condemn vicious racial discrimination? Yes, I do. Am I going to play your silly game of gotcha? No, I'm not. And frankly, this is why people have lost trust. And I know you're going to go print the headline tomorrow. I already know this. We already know how your game works. Vivek Ramaswamy refuses to condemn white supremacy because you asked a stupid question. The reality is, I condemn vicious racial discrimination in this country, but the kind of vicious and systematic racial discrimination we see today is discrimination on the basis of race in a very different direction. You want to know what the best way is to end discrimination on the basis of race? Stop discriminating on the basis of race. Do that, and we're going to move this country forward. And I don't care whether you're black or white or brown or anything in between. That's how we're going to unite this country. You people have been responsible for dividing this country to a breaking point, creating a projection of national division. I meet people from the south side of Chicago to meetings like this one of every shade of melanin, multiple, from man to woman, doesn't make a difference, who are hungry for reviving unity in this country. And you, with your catechism that you try to get to politicians to whatever fake headline you're going to print on the basis of this conversation tomorrow, that's what's dividing this country to a breaking point. Shame on you. Look people in the eye and tell them what you've actually failed to tell them for the last 5 years. Own the accountability for your own failures as the media. That's how we rebuild trust in this country. And until then, I don't have a lot of patience to play the games.
What do you expect from? I don't have a lot of patience to play the games. So there's a very specific reason why journalismers ask this question. They're constantly asking the question, are you going to condemn white supremacy? Here's the reason. It's because Joe Biden he's given a speech on January 6th. He's given a speech about white supremacy. He's made it very clear that this is going to be the cornerstone of his reelection campaign. He's making the alleged threat of white supremacy the cornerstone of his reelection campaign. He's using the January 6th. He used it on the anniversary. He went and he spoke at Valley Forge, where George Washington led the American Revolution. And he mumbled and slurred his way through this speech. And he, said that there's this massive threat of white supremacy. And I think it's important to note that Joe Biden is losing ground with voters of color almost across every demographic. Okay. So there was actually a poll that Donald Trump is up 5 points with Latinos. Critics say that Democrats have nothing else to run on, and that's why they run on white supremacy all of the time. And by critics, I mean everybody with a brain cell see what's going on in the Democrat Party. They can't run on anything like the economy because they suck at the economy. They can't run on anything like the border. They suck at the border. They can't run on lower crime rates because they suck at bringing down crime. There is a reason why reporters make everything about white supremacy, because a White House memo actually went out and said, hey, talk about white supremacy. Make the Biden campaign look good. Talk about white supremacy. Vivek Ramaswamy, he just provided the standard that all candidates, even if you're running for dog catcher in the Democrat rabid media, comes after you and says, "Hey, can you condemn white supremacy?" He just set the standard. This is how the answer should go. This is a religion. They are doing Joe Biden's bidding for his campaign, and it's very clear what they're doing when they ask stupid questions like that. All right, I do have to take a quick break, but when we come back, I am going to address some of your comments because I like the comments about the tarot cards. So we're going to revisit that story, the tarot card readings that they did on Fox News. Jesse Water invited a tarot card reader on his show and asked what was in store for Donald Trump in 2024. This is bizarro. I don't know why Fox News did this, but I guess it's Water's show, his body, his choice, but it's still dumb. And I can't comprehend why some people believe these cards can actually predict the future. But she said that there's going to be some great loss or some loss in 2024 when it comes to Donald Trump. So that's next in the buzz. I'm live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. You can see me there. Cities 92.9, The Morning Buzz. Thanks so much for tuning in. And yes, the tarot card reading. I did not like this. So Jesse Waters, I guess he invited this tarot card reader on a show, and he asked what was in store for Donald Trump in 2024. I'm not here for this. Astronomy, astrology, climatology, same crap, different day, if you ask me. But apparently, she drew a card for Donald Trump, and it was known as the Five Cups. And on live TV, she said that this is a sense of loss, that Donald Trump is going to lose in 2024. Look, I don't even think she really knows what the tarot cards mean. It's a very ambiguous. It talks about how the subject of the tarot reading is focusing on the negative. Like, what does that even mean? It's so ambiguous. It's no wonder that weak-minded people buy into the tarot card reading crap. But anyway, there was something about Joe Biden, so she drew for Joe Biden as well. And she laughed. I mean, she was laughing. She goes, "It's true. I don't make things up. It's true." The fact that you're laughing while saying that you don't make this stuff up kind of makes me think that you're making it up. But to be fair, she didn't really have to laugh or even say a word to make me think that she was making it up, because she's a fraud. She's obviously a fraud, and she's not a very good one. But she predicted something about Joe Biden that I could see. I would not be surprised if it ends up true. So Paula Roberts, that's her name, the tarot card reader. She pulls out the Nine of Pentacles for Joe Biden, and she predicts that the current president's year would be lots and lots and lots and lots of money. And Jesse Waters says sarcastically, sarcastically, he asks if the money would come from China. So yeah, I could see that being true in Joe Biden's future. Lots and lots and lots of money. You know, if Waters wants to put a tarot card reader on a show, I guess it's his body, his choice, but I still think it's dumb. I can't comprehend why some people believe in these cards, and they think that these cards can predict the future. But again, people believe men can become women too. So I guess you can't really beat that level of insanity. But there's people out there that believe cards can predict the future, and some people believe men can be women. That said, we can be certain she's more accurate than a climate prophet. At least she has probably gotten some things right, whereas climate alarmists have yet to see one prediction come to fruition. For example, I think Al Gore was the one who famously predicted that Florida would be at the bottom of the ocean by now. And guess what? Florida still exists. We're back in the 8 o'clock hour. We've got so much to cover. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. A couple of your comments. The constellations are biblical. Astrology is not. God used the constellations and the moon to show the signs in the sky to guide the Jewish nation. Yeah. So, like I said, don't know why Fox News had a tarot card around or card reader around. I thought it was weird. I'll be back on the other side in the 8 o'clock hour. This is the Morning Buzz. Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it. Go ahead, smash that like button if you're watching. We're going to come back talking a little bit about Jimmy Kimmel, because Jimmy Kimmel, it appears that he is on the list. Jimmy Kimmel, some court documents have been unsealed. Here's how it goes. In the documents, page 1375. Did you ever meet Jimmy Kimmel? Yes, twice. Where was this? At Jeffrey Epstein's house in Palm Beach. Did you ever give him a massage? Yes, both times. And did you ever engage in sex with him? I did, the second time I met him. Who suggested the two of you have sex? Jimmy suggested it himself. So that was page through 1375 in these unsealed court documents. Aaron Rodgers claimed that he was on the Epstein list, and meanwhile, the Epstein list comes out, and in fact, Jimmy Kimmel is on it. So there you have it. Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, Obama, Al Gore also were mentioned. Donald Trump was mentioned, but what the mainstream news is not going to tell you is that there was questioning of Donald Trump being there, and they said, "Did you ever give Donald Trump a massage?" And she said no. So it kind of exonerates him from anything weird. Now, I don't know if he was there. Possibly he was there at the Epstein Island. Who knows? But yes, if you molested a minor, you are in fact a pedophile, and you need to answer for your crimes, and you belong in prison. We've got some names now from the Jeffrey Epstein client list. I mean, according to Unsealed, I don't want to say it's the client list. It's unsealed court documents, and there's people named in these unsealed court documents. And Jeffrey Epstein, allegedly, now there were some sexual relations between a minor and Harvard, between a minor and a Harvard law professor, Alan Dershowitz. So he and this Jane Doe number 3. This is in court documents. She's a minor. She was forced to have sexual relations with people on behalf of Jeffrey Epstein. And here's the quote from the court documents. Epstein forced then minor Jane Doe number 3 to have sexual relations with former law professor Alan Dershowitz. He was a close friend of Jeffrey Epstein's, and he is a well-known criminal defense attorney. Also of note, Thomas Pritzker. Thomas Pritzker, I believe the cousin of Governor J.B. Pritzker. He's the billionaire Hyatt Hotels executive chairman. The Pritzker family, just full of sexual deviancy issues, and they've been running rampant for quite some time, haven't they? Yes, we've got Thomas Pritzker. He's named in these documents. In the court documents, this is what it says. How many times have you had sex, or did you have to have sex with Tom Pritzker? She goes, I believe I was with Tom once, one of these Jane Does. And then Thomas is the heir, of course, to the Pritzker family. There are at least, I think, 11 billionaires in this family. Governor J.B. Pritzker is one of them. Harvard board chair Penny Pritzker. There's also all kinds of things about Andrew, Prince Andrew, and Jimmy Kimmel. Now, Aaron Rodgers, he came out and he kind of like, almost like called it. Jimmy Kimmel threatened to sue Aaron Rodgers for claiming he was on the Epstein list. And just remember, Jimmy Kimmel was the guy who falsely claimed over and over again that the Trump PP tape was real. Okay. Jimmy Kimmel is actually on the list. This is another name. I haven't brought up this name yet, but I've found where in the unsealed court documents where the discussion about Jimmy Kimmel was. I'll read that after I play Aaron Rodgers' comments that he made about Jimmy Kimmel being on the list. Here's Aaron Rodgers. Here we go.
58,
You'll see it.
the emblem, put on the screen. And then bring up 57 and 56.
This has something to do with the Epstein list that came out.
Feels like
That's supposed to be coming out soon. That's supposed to be coming out soon.
Look, this guy's been
There's
waiting
a
in
lot
his
of
wine
people-
cellar.
Yeah.
I've been waiting in my wine cellar for this thing.
A lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't.
So there you have it. Jimmy Kimmel, Aaron Rodgers kind of called it, because today we wake up and we find it on page 1375. Did you ever meet? They're talking with a Jane Doe, a minor on the island. Did you ever meet Jimmy Kimmel? Yes, twice. Where was this? At Jeffrey's house in Palm Beach. Did you ever give Jimmy a massage? Yes, both times. Both times. Did you ever engage in sex with him? I did, the second time I met him. Who suggested the two of you have sex? Jimmy suggested it himself. So there you have it. Jimmy Kimmel, his name appears in these court documents. There's over 200 plus high profile names. There's Prince Andrew, like I said. The most alarming part, I think, of the unsealed documents is this Jeffrey Epstein allegedly forcing this young girl, Jane Doe number 3, to have sex with Prince Andrew whenever he wanted. So according to the documents themselves, Jane Doe number 3 was forced to have sexual relations with this prince when she was a minor, 3 separate geographical locations, once in London. This was at Maxwell's apartment in New York, and on the private island where she was forced to have an orgy with numerous other underage girls and Prince Andrew. So he instructed Jane Doe number 3 to give the prince whatever he wanted, and demanded whatever he demanded and required of Jane Doe number 3. Disturbing, very disturbing stuff. And yesterday I talked about Dick Durbin. We need to vote these people out of office. I get it. It's not J.B. Pritzker who's named, but it's Thomas Pritzker. Okay, it's his cousin. And this family is known to have sexual deviancy issues. Governor J.B. Pritzker just signed into law in the state of Illinois. He has penalized and will penalize public libraries and public schools if they decide to take pornography off of the shelf, so that way we can avoid having children get their hands on pornography on the shelves. I'm talking about genderqueer. I'm talking about these books that are pornographic. And Governor J.B. Pritzker said, well, I'm not going to give you money as a public institution, public library, public school, if you take these books off. That's sexual. That's, I don't know what else you call it, providing pornography to children in these libraries and in the schools. And it's sexual deviancy. And I mean, it goes beyond that. Jennifer James Pritzker, he's at the helm there of this transgender industry, where we are treating kids like we're chopping their genitals off for money. Really, that's what it is. It's a money thing. And yeah, I don't know why we continue to vote somebody like a Pritzker into office, knowing what we know about Tom Pritzker, Jennifer James Pritzker, Penny Pritzker, Harvard board chair. I don't know. Dick Durbin, Senator Dick Durbin, was out there and he was questioned. Hey, why weren't you on top of this? Why did you not advocate for the release of these flight logs? And he denied. He goes, I don't know anything about any flight logs. Okay. Al Gore, also another name, Barack Obama. Donald Trump's name did come up in the unsealed documents. However, nobody's going to tell you this, except you'll hear here on the Morning Buzz. What I saw was an exchange between a Jane Doe and law enforcement. They were asking the Jane Doe, hey, did you ever give Donald Trump a massage? And she denied ever engaging in any kind of sexual relations with Donald Trump. And I haven't seen anything as of yet that like with Jimmy Kimmel's case, they asked her the same question. Did you give him a massage? And she said yes. And then, did you ever engage in sex with him? She said yes. So yeah, I don't know. This is incredible. Yeah, it's incredible stuff. So I am going to be back here in just a little bit, talking more about the Jeffrey Epstein list. There's a lot of things out there on the internet. There's so much coming out about this, and it's some of it's wrong, some of it's fake, some of it's real. I'm going to try to parse through as much as I can when it comes to these documents and give you what I know to be true, and what looks right, and which I can, check multiple sources. That's how I kind of come to a conclusion of these names. Tom Pritzker, Alan Dershowitz. We've got Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, Al Gore. There's quite a few names. So we are going to be chatting more about that in just a little bit. But first, I do want to talk about Caron Jean-Pierre. Caron Jean-Pierre, she told MSNBC on Tuesday that President Joe Biden always puts equity at the center of every policy he puts forward. Well, I'm going to make the argument that that's probably why everything sucks under Joe Biden. The economy is terrible. The gas is high. It's because you're doing these diversity hires and they're not qualified to be in their positions. You hire people like Sam Britton, who steals ladies' clothes out of airports at their luggages. Okay. And that's a crime. So we're more focused on getting a man in there who wears a dress because, equity, right? But then we wind up with failing systems, the failing infrastructure. So let's take a listen to Caron Jean-Pierre here on the Morning Buzz and what she had to say on MSNBC.
So look, the president has always put equity at the center of every policy he's put forward, every legislation that he's put forward, because we understand that many communities have been left behind. We're not trying to do the trickle down economics. We really, truly are not. So look, the president has always put equity.
Equity at the center of every policy that he makes. I mean, come on. She was asked about Joe Biden and how he's losing support. Specifically, there's this new poll and it shows a decline in Biden's support with Latinos. Latinos now favor President Donald Trump by 5 points. And instead of answering the question, she speaks about the hotly contested 2020 election, Joe Biden's record on the economy, and then she says things like the president has always put equity at the center of every policy he's put forward. She also said he's building the middle class and he's going to leave no one behind. He's not leaving anybody behind. This is hilarious because Joe Biden is not building the middle class. He claims that he's created all of these jobs. I've told you before, these jobs were here and then the pandemic took them away and now they're back. That's part of it. But then also another part of it, he's created a lot of public sector jobs and people don't want public sector jobs. They want good private sector jobs. I'm sorry, digging a ditch for the city is not a great job. I'm sorry, operating the White House Twitter account is not a great job. These are jobs that they're public sector. We want private sector jobs. That's good for the economy. Now, she even goes further. She says that he builds the middle class, but then she goes on when she was asked about the 2020 Biden voters and how they're leaving him. They're done with Joe Biden. She says this: we're going to continue to have these conversations to let that strong coalition know that what we've done in almost 3 years of this administration. And then she says that they're disillusioned. Yes. So she says that they may be disillusioned and that they're going to be working on conversations. Look, enough gaslighting over the economy. Everyone, and I mean everyone, knows how bad the cost of living has gotten under Joe Biden. If you buy gas, if you buy groceries, you know that. And what exactly is she going to say to these 2020 Biden voters to get them back? These disillusioned voters. What is she going to say? His record is very clear. There's nothing that can be said to change the reality of Bidenomics. Everyone alive today was alive under President Donald Trump. And from just being alive, it's very obvious whose economy benefits the middle class. And I'm going to go out on the record and say, let's just say it's not the one that prioritizes equity. Just think about this. Do you want your pilot? Do you care if your pilot is gay or the color of his skin, or do you want him to be a good pilot? Okay. Do you care? Look, and she's there because of her sexual orientation and her skin color. She loves it. She loves that equity is at the center of every policy because she benefits from it. She has no credentials, nothing that gives her the ability to be a good White House press secretary. Sleepy Joe makes sure skin color guides all of his policies, and for some reason, the left thinks that that's actually a good thing. Yes, only racism can fix racism. That's according to the left. That makes no sense, but like I said, sense is not something progressives will let get in the way of their agenda. That's next on the buzz. We're going to be coming back. It's the 8 o'clock hour on Cities 92.9. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. There's so much coming out about these unsealed documents. One thing that I do want to talk about is, we've got to look deeper into this. Look deeper. If Hillary Clinton had won in 2016, that means Epstein's backers, they would be in control of the White House right now. And that's what Trump prevented. That's what Donald Trump was trying to prevent. And, I think that it's important to note here that this means everything from 2015 on to now, 2023 or 2024 today, has been the pedo elites who were on Epstein's list trying to stop the one man who wasn't on his list. Okay, he was exonerated from these unsealed documents. Actually, are you paying attention yet? Are you paying attention? Smash that like button if you're watching. Share this out with your friends. I'm back. So now we know. Now we know. This means that everything from 2015 on to 2024 and on from now, this has been pedophiles, elitist pedophiles. They've been, who were on Jeffrey Epstein's list. They've been trying to stop the one man who wasn't. He wasn't on the list. He's been exonerated, actually, in these unsealed court documents. I told you, this Jane Doe was questioned by the police, and then she said, no, I never gave him a massage. They asked specifically about Donald Trump, and she said, no, nothing ever happened. And I also want to point out that, if Hillary Clinton, think about if Hillary Clinton would have won, we would have a White House controlled by these Epstein backers. I mean, they backed Epstein Island, and they were Epstein's friends, and Bill Clinton mentioned over 50 times in these unsealed court documents, or in these, now unsealed court documents. And Trump was trying to prevent these people from gaining power. Are you paying attention? Are you paying attention yet? Now, I did see this. This is totally crazy, and I don't know if I think this is. I've got a good source that says that this is real. A couple of sources have said that this is real. So this is a Q&A between Jane Doe's and law enforcement, Jane Doe, and he asked 500 models into the hotel. Yes, exactly. But we were told to not wear mini skirts or plunging necklines. We were between 19 and 35. What was his game? He just sat all of us girls down on some really soft pillows. He said he made himself, and then just kept reading from the Bible and telling us Jesus loves us. He went on for hours. Even let us take home the pillows. Hold on. Did the scumbag do this often? What? No, no, no. This wasn't him at all. This was the guy with a cute mustache and a Midwest accent. So this is a court document. This is very, very interesting. This is court documents, cute mustache. Yeah, so this is interesting. My pillows. This is a Jack Posobiec tweet. I think he's talking about Mike Lindell. Obviously, this is a joke. But Mike Lindell, obviously, the pillows, the My Pillows, and these were really, really soft pillows, and we sat on the pillows, and he just kept telling us Jesus loves us. This is totally unreal, unsealed documents. Jack Posobiec tweet. He's really into the My Pillow. I actually got a My Pillow 2.0 for Christmas, and man, I love it. I've been sleeping on it, and I sleep great. But Mike Lindell had a very cute mustache, and he just kept telling us that Jesus loves us. So that's just a joke. But yeah, so the unsealed documents, it's crazy. Jimmy Kimmel is named, Al Gore. We've got Tom Pritzker, who is the cousin of Governor J.B. Pritzker, and there was actually a woman who said that she did, in fact, have sexual relations with Tom. She had to have sexual relations with Tom Pritzker. And she goes, I believe I was with Tom just once. So this is the Pritzker family. We know that he's the billionaire Hyatt Hotels executive chairman. That's Tom Pritzker. And bottom line is, we knew about this years ago. We knew about this in 2015, 2016. People have been talking about this, and the FBI has not been cooperating in going after these people. We need, I mean, if you're a pedophile and you had sex with minors, you need to be in prison. And I don't know why any of these people aren't in prison. Uh, these documents are definitely insane. I do want to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to be chatting a little bit about this woman. You guys are going to like this story. It's a funny story about a McDonald's wrapper. She is totally unhinged. She thought McDonald's was supporting Israel with this McDonald's wrapper because it's blue and white. And she loses her mind and she confronts a fast food employee. So I'm going to go over that exchange and a couple of other stories here on the Morning Buzz. It is 8:30 and it's Thursday, which is Friday Eve, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. That's the radio program here. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. I'll be back next. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. Thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it. We've got so much to get to this morning. One thing that I do want to revisit is this woman in this bizarre meltdown over a McDonald's wrapper. Yes, this happened. Um, I'm going to call her Karen, and I'm going to get to Karen here in a minute, but she got a McDonald's wrapper, okay? And it was a blue and white wrapper. And she thought it was meant to support Israel, which apparently she finds disgusting. So she asked to speak to the manager. I'm going to play the clip here for you, and then we're going to break it down. This woman actually has a meltdown over this wrapper, this McDonald's wrapper. And I can tell you right now, the fast food employee does not care. Um, and does not care what this woman is upset about. I say that as a former fast food employee. I can promise you that that fast food employee is not thinking about the global conflicts as they're wrapping her McChicken. Okay, no one working at McDonald's is thinking about the global conflicts while wrapping your McChicken, lady. But here we go. She confronts the employee. Let's take a listen.
I was starving, so I had to get one quick sandwich from here. And I thought they gave me the wrong sandwich.
Love it. She goes, I was starving, so I had to get one quick sandwich from McDonald's. As if she has to like justify why she's getting a sandwich from McDonald's. She's a liberal white woman.
But conveniently, McDonald's changed their packaging. Wow. What does that resemble? Yeah. So what is this?
This one?
Yeah. What is this new packaging?
It's the McChicken wrapper.
But why is it blue and white?
Honestly, I don't know.
I think you do know. This is in support of Israel. They changed it.
I mean, it was like that actually since a few months ago because we ran out of the regular ones.
No, I don't think so. This is obviously in support of Israel.
No, I mean, we actually had that for a while though.
This was here 2 weeks ago and it wasn't like this.
I mean, we have had stuff. We also have the red one.
I know this is not your fault because you're an employee, but I think this is disgusting for them to do this. And I know you in your heart that this is clearly what this wrapper is for.
I mean, I didn't know.
I'm explaining it to you. This is what it's for. This is the color of their flag. This is clearly what they're doing and what they're showing to people. And I think it's disgusting.
I think it's disgusting. I think it's disgusting. All right, Karen. You're lucky that you didn't get a McLoogie in between the tomato and the bun of your McChicken. I'm not saying I would have done that, but I don't know if I was in that position of that Mick employee. I don't know. Karen, the only thing that this Mick employee knows in his heart that he wasn't even supposed to be there today. And you're bringing this up and these global conflicts. He does not care. And what I love about this post, so there's these independent fact checkers who are out there and they're fact checking this and they're like, this video is from October. Okay. Yeah, people missed it. It's a viral video. I think people missed it because there were much more serious examples of anti-Semitism to cover after the October 7th terrorist attack. But McDonald's, they've been using these generic wrappers for years now because there's been supply shortages with the wrappers. They also use these wrappers for like special orders to kind of mark, hey, this McChicken doesn't have mayo or something on it. So you learn something new every day. Karen obviously is a white liberal woman, and I bet she would be giddy. I am willing to bet she would be so excited if the wrapper was yellow and blue because, Slava Ukraini, glory to Ukraine. She'd be all right with that. And I'm willing to bet that she would have a bigger meltdown if the wrapper was red and white because it would remind her of a MAGA hat. Only Karen knows. I don't know how she would react, but I'm willing to bet that she totally would have a big meltdown if that wrapper were red and white. Okay, I do want to shift gears. Let's talk about this. I saw this story, and I kind of want to play the local news coverage of this because I thought it was adorable. This is a story about Binks and Oakley. So Oakley is a white little dog, and this little white dog gets attacked by two coyotes while trying to use the restroom. The bathroom. Poor little guy. He was a poor little puppy, and he was trying to use the bathroom. And a coyote comes up to him, tries to attack him, and then a second coyote appears. But this black cat named Binks jumps down and scares off the coyotes. So I want to listen to the coverage of this. I think it's a good news story. I like pulling these out once in a while, but let's take a listen. Here we go. And have you ever had a problem with coyotes? We never really had a problem with coyotes. We saw them a lot. I know that I know somebody who had their dog attacked by a coyote, had to go to the emergency care. Oakley, the white little pup that was attacked, did have to go and get some emergency care done, but he's going to make it just fine. Probably because the cat distracted the coyotes long enough for the pup to run inside. But let's take a listen.
Back to feeling like her old self after surgery and now getting her stitches out. This is all after getting attacked by coyotes, and she was saved by her sister. That's a black cat. Caitlin Ogle introduces us to the hero and the owner.
It was kind of inspired by it, quite frankly.
Oakley is a white dog, Binks a black cat. They're polar opposites, but they're family. This wooded backyard is Binks's domain.
She was a neighborhood cat, just showed up when she was about 2 months old.
November 30th, while the family's two other big dogs were also outside, out of camera view, Lane Dyer says he let the 6-year-old Havanese out to go to the bathroom.
Out of nowhere was attacked by a coyote.
Then another coyote appears. But see that to the left? Well, that's Binks, saying not in her backyard.
Jumped down and scared him off. Is the craziest thing ever.
That gave Oakley enough time to run inside.
Cut her open. She was gushing blood, from her chest and her side.
The Dyers rushed Oakley to the hospital. She was stitched up and her leg was put in a splint.
Oh, it's so sad, but she's okay. Oakley is going to be just fine. This video is pretty awesome. This video, I don't care about the crazy liberal cat lady stereotype. I love cats, and cats are awesome. And this video just shows why, because the cat Binks managed to save Oakley. So this happened in Oklahoma, and the black cat. I have a black cat. His name is Colt. He's named after the gun manufacturer. But people give black cats a bad name. Okay. And I'm not talking about the fake racism. People actually have a bias against black cats. They're viewed as more evil and sinister. And this is probably due, and it's probably rooted, the superstition anyway, in the fact that you can't really read a black cat. You can't see their facial cues. You don't really know how they're feeling. They're very mysterious. I have a black cat. And Binks here is destroying all of this unconscious bias and implicit stereotypes that black cats are currently faced with. She managed to overcome all of that adversity here and save the day and save Oakley's life. I do want to shift gears, and we're going to talk about I want to revisit the Jeffrey Epstein thing just one more time. I've been talking about it all morning. A little bit I've seen names here and there, and one thing that I do want to point out is Alan Dershowitz. So Alan Dershowitz, I did get a phone caller, and he was talking about how the Wall Street Journal did up a piece, and they talked about how the defendant here, Jane Doe number 3, I don't know if it's the same defendant as this other woman, but there was apparently a defamation suit, and in that defamation suit, the victim of Alan Dershowitz said, I'm not too sure if it was Alan Dershowitz. In these cases, and I don't think I have to tell you this, there's going to be a lot of back and forth. These women went through hell, okay? And there's going to be a lot of back and forth. I don't know if that's the same woman as Jane Doe 3. I'm just reading from the unsealed documents here. And they describe the victim as Jane Doe number 3. Now, I don't know if that's the same woman. I'd have to do some research. That was going after Alan Dershowitz, and there was court, and they were going after each other in court. And ultimately, that victim had said, I don't know if it was Alan or not. But Jane Doe number 3, according to these unsealed court documents, she was forced to have sexual relationships with people on behalf of Jeffrey Epstein. So he would force her to have sexual relationships with a former Harvard law professor. His name is Alan Dershowitz. He's a close friend of Jeffrey Epstein's, well-known criminal defense attorney. There's also underage girl the same one, Jane Doe number 3, forced to have sex with Prince Andrew whenever he wanted. So there was 3 separate occasions. Jane Doe number 3 was in 3 separate geographical locations where she was forced to have sexual relations with the prince. Once in London, New York, and on the private island. And Epstein interacted with Jane Doe 3, and he instructed her to give the prince, quote, whatever he demanded and required. And Jane Doe 3 would report back to him on the details of the sexual abuse that went on between Prince Andrew and Jane Doe number 3. Very, very disturbing. And one thing that I've been talking about all morning is the Pritzker family. Tom Pritzker, he's been identified in these documents. He's the chairman of the Hyatt Hotels, and he's a billionaire cousin, I believe, of Governor J.B. Pritzker. It's disturbing, all of these coming out now, the unsealed documents. I didn't think that we were going to get some names, but we do have some names of people. And one thing that I want to point out is that just think about if Hillary Clinton were to have been president. I mean, the people who were backers of Jeffrey Epstein would be in control of the White House right now. Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, he's been named 50 times plus in these, or he's believed to be named 50 times plus in these. So I'll be back. Do have to take a quick break. You're listening to The Morning Buzz. Find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Text me at 309-451-9299. I'll read your comments on the other side and your texts next. Whoa, CBS this morning. A random act of journalism. I almost fell out of my chair watching this. So the hosts called out Mayorkas, Alejandro Mayorkas, for playing games with the border. And I think Mayorkas almost had a heart attack up there because he was they were holding his feet to the fire. Here's what it sounded like. I want to play it here. It was on CBS this morning. Let's take a listen. Here we go.
Border, they are placed in immigration enforcement proceedings. And those proceedings take many years because our system is broken and it is also underfunded. We need Congress to fix the system, and we need the resources to administer it.
Mr. Secretary, I'm glad you talked about enforcing the laws, because what this conversation is about is what the law should be. You're talking to senators in the White House about a bill on that side of the chamber. The House has already passed something. So what I'm really asking you here is, would you change the law? Do you support changes to the law to reduce the flow? And I'll give you specifics that Republicans want on the table. They want the standard for allowing a person to come across the border in between ports of entry, illegally is the word for it, and wait here. They want that standard to be higher. Right now, it's just credible fear. They want it to be more likely than not you'd be allowed to stay. I think you know the reality is most people who cross the border and claim asylum, the vast majority do not actually receive asylum. And then they're just here. So will you change the standard at the border as a matter of law?
There are bipartisan negotiations ongoing now. Republican and Democratic senators are at the table to discuss how the broken immigration system should be fixed. I am privileged to be a part of those discussions and provide technical and operational advice to those senators who are focused on solutions. This is all about solutions, not making the problem worse by taking away the funding that our public servants rely on to do their work in the service of the American public.
Because of the standards at the border and the flow issue that Republicans have identified, Democratic leaders, mayors, governors, they're struggling. Governor Abbott in Texas is busing people to different states. They're showing up on doorsteps. They're in the streets. They can't work. They're hungry. They're begging. It's a big, big problem. What is the White House willing to do to come to the aid of your fellow Democrats who say, we need help?
So a few things. Number one, we have.
So, yeah, CBS this morning kind of holding his feet to the fire there. And, you know, Mayorkas, he's brushing it all off. He says there's negotiations happening. You just heard CBS, the reporter there. He says, look, we already have things drafted up. They want to change the standard of which, you can't seek asylum in this country, which I don't even know why we're changing it. There's already a law on the books. It's international law where asylum, you can't seek asylum in a country. You have to actually have like some sort of threat problem in your country, and then you flee to the United States and you seek asylum in that country. That's not what is happening. These migrants are coming over and they're going to multiple countries prior to the United States. And what the law says, international law says, you have to seek asylum in the first country where you're safe. And that's not happening. They're cherry picking. These migrants are cherry picking which countries they want to go to. And then they decide that they want to go to the United States for economic prosperity. And we need to change, and we need to make very clear in our law, which the House Republicans are trying to do. And Alejandro Mayorkas just admitted there that they are in bipartisan negotiations. And he goes, we don't want to make matters worse by decreasing the funding, blah, blah, blah. See, it's all about the money. It's all about the money. And Mayorkas, he's just sitting there and he's blaming Greg Abbott on CBS this morning. And that's where the blame is at. He sat there and he blamed Greg Abbott for all of it and Republicans. And I'm just sick and tired of it. They're both playing games. We need to make a clear law that says, hey, we need a higher standard for you to come into this country. You don't just get to claim fear and then walk over the border illegally. All right. I have to go for the rest of the day, but thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it. You can always text me at 309-451-9299. And you can go to our website, cities99.com, and steal your deal. We've got all kinds of local gift certificates half off at cities99.com. Bye-bye. Love you.